Have you watched the black and white collection sewing plans? If you haven't, it's linked up above in all the places where things are linked and down below in the description box. I hope you check that out so you can guess which of the things I made up and what is still in pieces. Hi, I'm Fatmata from Traditionally Inspired Meaningful Art, and on here we talk all things creativity, including sewing, DIYs, arts, and so much more. Today, I'm really excited to share with you all the things that I got up to sewing at the end of January and early this month in February. I'll start with what I am wearing. So I'm wearing two of the things that I made. The blouse under here is actually a blouse that I've had for over 10 years. I got this when I think I was interning at Macy's in college. So it's a blouse that I really adore. It has this amazing like gunmetal detailing on the collar, and I absolutely love it, this black and white polka dot. So I, like a genius, burned a huge hole into the front of this blouse. So for many years, I had to just wear it like tied up in a bow, or I'd wear it tucked in under different garments. And that gave me the idea, instead of tossing this and throwing it away, since I love it so much, I can just chop it off. So that's what I did. I turned it into what I like to consider like a faux top. So I can wear this layered under sweaters. It is sleeveless. I wear this all the time now. I mean, for the past week that I've had it, I guess. But I just like layering it under things. It gives me a really nice finished, polished look, and I could wear this under tons of different sweaters, blouses, dresses, you name it. So this is an idea I think I'm going to carry along with me for anything that I damage here on out, or things that I have in the past that I just don't wear as much anymore. And if I can just wear them layered under things, maybe that's a better use of the garment. The second thing I'm wearing, you can't see it quite fully, but I'll pop in some images, is an abaya that I refashioned. This was originally a very large, just black abaya. It had rhinestone and different beading details. It was gifted to me by my aunt, but it needed a bit of TLC. The beads were kind of falling off, I think, after being put in the washing machine. So I went ahead, I removed all of that, which was a very long process, but I think I completed that last year or about 2 or 3 years ago. I remember I just had the idea that I needed to refashion this, but didn't get around to it. So I was really excited. Now I have a wearable garment. So the fabric on the contrast on the cuffs and at the very bottom is actually what I believe was an upholstery fabric. So I had gotten that at Value Village, and around the time when I was, attempting to refashion this, I had it on hand. I was really excited to use it. Now, if I were making this right now, like if I had made it from beginning to end in the design process, I probably would have selected a different fabric, simply because this is a very light fabric and the upholstery fabric is very heavy. And while it's okay, it's scratchy. It's not the most comfortable thing. But because I had already started, putting the pieces together, I had already stitched it in place, I thought about unpicking everything and selecting something different. Then I just said, just go with it. Like, go with wherever my mind was at that time years ago, and just complete the garment. It's wearable. It's something that I can toss on right before I need to pray, or if I need to pop outside and I'm not fully dressed. So I'm very pleased with it. I made it wrap style, so the cording, I just used bias binding and put a little slit in the side, and that just wraps around. So I'm very happy with this. It's super cozy and comfortable to wear, and I think it worked out well, and I get to keep it. So those are the two quick ones. Now let's get into the dress that started it all, why I wanted to do a black and white collection in the first place. So that is this lovely number here. This was inspired by a dress worn by Basma K. I saw it on her Instagram page, and I adored the dress that she had. So in order to redo it, I noticed that it was a sheared bodice. I unfortunately did not have enough of the fabrics that I was working with. I had about 1.5 yards of this top fabric and just 1 yard of the contrasting leaf fabric that had been pre-cut. So I was really trying to work around all of the different pieces that I had already cut out. I'm proud of this dress because I was able to make it work out of little to no fabric, given the amount of yardage that a dress like this should have taken. I made it work, and that for me is a win-win-win. I have worn it already on Zoom calls, and the ruffle detail along the neckline that I added is just so feminine and gorgeous. There is shirring on the cuff at the bottom. It is a nice billowy sleeve, which I actually had to cut out of 2 pieces of fabric that are joined together because that's how much I needed to save on fabric. I only sheared the center of the bodice, not the very top, simply because I was frightened. I did not know if shearing like where the armholes would go would cause the shoulder to be pushed in more than I wanted it to. And I was thinking, if I want to conserve fabric, when you shear, you have to almost cut double the amount of fabric you need, because the elastic in the bobbin is what creates this elasticated detail. And in order to reserve as much fabric as possible, I cut out a yoke and then tried to camouflage that by adding that ruffle detail. There is the ruffle detail at the start of each of the layers. And then because the dress was a bit shorter than I wanted it to be, so I just added one final like inch of length at the bottom. For being able to see an inspiration photo and trying to recreate it myself, I think I did a pretty good job with what I had available, and I hope you like it too. Next up, you won't even recognize this because in the plans video, this was meant to be a top, and now we have a dress. A shift dress, mind you. I do not wear shift dresses often. I don't think they suit my body well at all. I would consider myself to be a pear shape, so I am largest at my hips, and the idea of a shift dress is that it would hang from your shoulders and kind of go straight down, right? So you have these really nice, simple, plain, sleek looking silhouettes, but when your widest part is your hip, then it kind of comes out, it makes it it doesn't work. I haven't found a shift dress yet in the many years that I've searched that suits me well. However, when I was making this dress, now a dress, when I was making the blouse, all right, I
just angle it, so I decided to put a curved hem on it, you know, so it gives my hips a little bit of breathing room, and that really didn't work because when I tried tucking it into pants or skirts, I wanted to test it out. It did not fit nicely, but it wasn't something that I could see myself wearing untucked. I combined 2 patterns, so I will link that in the description box below, the 2 patterns I used, but so anyways, after all of that sort of hemming and hawing over it and just seeing that it wasn't working out,
I decided the best thing to do was to make it sort of like a shift dress, so to sort of do a straight panel down the front, which is what you have in the front. But because then I had 44 inches to use in the back, I thought, I want to use all of this fabric, so why not try pleating it? So I did what I consider like that tennis skirt sort of pleat, the box pleat in the back. This ended up being, it is a raglan sleeve, has a bit of shirring at the, like right before the cuff. I used contrasting black fabrics. That was the main purpose of this garment to begin with. And it has a bust start, but also these hidden pockets. They're not hidden right now because it's, but look at that, right there. I love that. And the back is pleated. These are 1-inch box pleats with 1/2-inch inserts, and I used my handy dandy pleat board to make it. I made this pleat board last year. It's a 1/2-inch pleat board, but I just skipped every other pleat to make it because I didn't have enough fabric to do 1/2-inch pleats all the way around. But I think it's so gorgeous. For this dress alone, I wish I would have vlogged the making of the black and white collection, because this literally went through about 5 different iterations, and I think there would be a greater and stronger appreciation if you knew all the things that this was meant to be, supposed to be, could have been, and did not happen. But yeah, things like this, you just grow to love them just because of how much time and work and effort you put into it. And that's where I am with this dress. The saddest thing that happened, that could have happened, is after all of that hard work, I wanted to press the bust dart in. I wanted it to be flat. Do you see, look at what I did. See that? Rookie mistake. I always, especially when working with this sort of synthetic material, always just leave my iron on that setting, like synthetics. And for some reason, I had I put no barrier between the fabric and my iron. I usually have like a little strip of cotton fabric that I just use as a shield. Didn't do that. And I went in with full steam on a cotton setting. Burned right through that. Now, when I wear this, you can hardly see it. I have like a black slip under it. You can hardly see it. If I ever wanted to try like embroidery or any other sort of intricate like stitching detail, this would be a good candidate, just so I can cover up that little hole that I made and yeah, camouflage this. But otherwise, I've worn it for the photos, and honestly, you don't see it because of where it's positioned. I don't think you would notice at all. However, it's something that really, it hurt my heart when I did that. So keep your iron on the right setting, guys. Don't be like me, or use a shield. That would have been the smarter thing to do. I don't know why I didn't do that. Next up, I made the jumpsuit, guys. You know, when I was making the plans, and I remember thinking, like, I've made a pair of pants, I've made a top, so I feel like you put those two together and you have a jumpsuit, then you figure out the attachments on the front and the back and sew them into the side seam of choice, and then have the meat and put a tie there. Right? Like that's how you would make that, right? I did use my pant pattern that I had made last year along with my bodice pattern, and I did just what I had thought of doing. I referred to a ready-to-wear jumpsuit that I already had in my closet, and that informed me that I probably would benefit from adding about an inch between the two pattern pieces, and I did that, and it sewed up quite nicely, guys. The full-length images will obviously show you a lot better, but the one thing that I wish I would have changed is to, like, I didn't put this all the way over to the edge. I don't know why I didn't do that, but that's the one thing. It crosses over in the front and it ties on the side. I actually like to tie mine all the way around because in the back I did not add a waistline. You see that? I just put two fisheye darts. Now, I thought that was making things simpler for myself. That's the reason why I chose to do that. No other reason, because I could have just as easily cut it like I did the front. The front does have a waistline. The front does have a waistline because I knew I wanted to add pockets. So it does have a waistline there, just so the pockets would have a seam to adhere to in the top. But otherwise in the back, I thought, well, I don't really have a reason to put a waistline here. And I wish I had, just because I think there's a certain shaping that gives it. With the fisheye darts alone, I'm not a huge fan of that. I think it looks very odd, unless this was like a lot looser and meant to be like a casual wear item. That might work, or if this was like a jersey fabric or something else, but I do not like the fisheye darts in this, which is why I often wear it tied all the way around, so the strap actually acts as sort of like a belt to cover the fact that there is no waistline there. I'm really proud of this make, one, because it is completely self-drafted. I figured out how to do this like additional part, and look at how it's finished. I figured out how to make the strap kind of just one seamless piece with the fold over. Like, I'm really excited about it, and I think it does resemble the inspiration image. Now, of course, after I made the entire garment, I went back on Pinterest and was just scrolling, minding my business. And because I had already pinned that sort of modest jumpsuit with the crossover, it actually showed me an image of a pattern that looks just like what I ended up making. And I wish I had seen it sooner because it would have helped me define and determine how I would cut out the pieces. But it's very similar. So if any of you are interested, I have included that pattern in my black and white collection Pinterest board, which is linked down below for you if you want to just see some of the inspiration photos I was using while I was creating this collection. Now, I will say it's in a language I don't understand, okay? I don't even recognize the characters that it's using. So there's that, but there are pictures. So I'm a very visual person, and that's how I use those patterns. When I find them on Pinterest in a different language, I just look for the photos and then I kind of make sense of that. But if you don't operate that same way, there is a Vogue pattern that I will pop up on the screen so that you can take a look at it, because I think while it's not the same exact style lines, it does give a similar modest jumpsuit vibe. And that's this one. I'm so excited that I made this. It gave me the confidence to move forward with other jumpsuits in future makes. So look out for that. Next up, this wasn't even in the plans video, but it's the same material that I used for the sleeves of that shift dress. And when I saw it just laying there, I think the evening that I decided to make this, I just needed a win, because everything I was making was just ending up not the way I'd wanted. And I thought a simple gathered skirt, just make that to make yourself happy, so that you know you are a good seamstress. You can do this. And sometimes you just need those makes that are simple and make you happy and make you feel confident and give you that boost, like you got this. And this didn't end up being that. It was tragic. It looked terrible until I unpicked the whole thing and decided to put a proper waistband. I had originally used an elastic waistband on it. It was awful. It was awful. So then I said, my point of sewing is not necessarily to see how many things I can fill my closet with. If they're not made well and I'm never going to reach for them, there's no point of making them. And once I reminded myself of that, I said, okay, go in, fix it up, do a proper waistband. And I think it looks much better. I did box pleats on there all the way around. It does have another tier at the bottom. It's midi length. Has a nice zipper in the back. I did another silly thing with my iron. What is my problem? I did another silly thing with my iron on this skirt. Let's get close. Do you see how this material is textured? Meant to be textured? Now look here. I ironed all the can you see that? I ironed all the texture out of that. Just like forcefully. Just ironed all the texture right out of that. Like, look at how sleek that is. What is my problem? I did that. I was trying to make sure that this seam, since it was down the center back, I hate when things are down the center back because I just think it draws attention there. So I wanted to make sure I pressed it as firmly as possible, forgetting that this is a textured material. So I basically just like ironed out all of the little ridges right out of there. Now, that might seem inconsequential. I thought, okay, it's unfortunate, but it'll be fine. What that did was it gave me a nice high-low situation in the back. So it just like droops down. Oh my goodness. So the center back just like droops down further than everything else because all of the ridges were ironed out. Okay. Would I wear this skirt? The answer is yes. There are a number of different places and spaces where I could see me putting on a black pleated skirt, right? Simple enough concept, idea. It will go with many things. I just wish I didn't make those silly mistakes. And also, you can kind of see all of my iron marks because again, I did not put any barrier between my iron and the fabric. So it has this like sheen to it. So that's me being nitpicky. Those are the things that I'm like, in my future makes, don't do that. Protect your fabrics, ladies. Like, if you're out there and you plan to sew, please protect your fabrics when you're ironing them, and iron as you go. Last but not least, you remember how excited I was about this leopard print blue fabric? I know this fabric is a lot. I'm not blind, I know. And yet it's gonna happen because I love it that much. It makes me so happy. Why again? Why was I so excited? I don't know what compelled me, but I was certainly happy about this fabric way back then. Let's talk about the cardigan first. It is a cardigan. I remember in the plans video, I was like this, I'm thinking cardigan, skirt, see what I have left over. There was nothing left over. I don't know what I was thinking. I looked at other cardigans that I had and I saw that they would do like a roll over and just use the fabric itself as its own facing sort of thing. So that's what I did. I've worn it, especially in like the home office when I'm working during the day. It's nice, it sits on my chair, so it's become like my office sweater. So I just throw it on when I'm in there. But aside from that, I could see myself wearing this, throwing on a really nice chunky belt over it with an all black or all cream outfit under it. Not really much else to say about it. It's a cardigan. I find myself putting my hands like this, but there are no pockets because I saved as much of the fabric so I could make the matching skirt. But I'm not as a huge fan of the matching skirt once I've made it, so I might go back in and add my pockets so that it's a proper cardigan, you know? So the skirt is like a knit, stretchy skirt. It's midi length because I didn't have enough fabric. I had to join, this was another one of those like patchwork quilting mix. I'm going to turn it inside out so you can appreciate how many pieces of fabric went into the skirt. Another patchwork item. It's unfinished. I was disheartened. It's not lovely. Many things. I didn't have a lot of fabric, hence the patchwork detailing. You know, it works on the outside because the fabric is so busy. I don't think you can really tell. Like, if I didn't tell you, would you know? Probably not. But it's too fitted for my liking. So either my sister will claim this and she can have it, or I will cut it up and add pockets to my cardigan. Those are the two options because I don't see myself wearing this. I had to put slits on the side so that I could like walk in it because it's not a lot of fabric here. This is one of those times where I just needed to have said, you know what? Just the cardigan will be enough, right? Like it doesn't need to be a matching set. While that was a cool idea in theory, if you've started cutting into this fabric and it's not enough to make all of the pieces, then make one garment and make it really well, right? That's much better than having two garments that you half don't like. And I think that is a recommendation and something that I will take with me as I move on in my future collections. And don't skimp out on making a quality garment because you want to make multiple things, because I will be unimpressed with those multiple things when I could have had one garment that I love and will love for years to come. Note to self, hopefully it helps you too if you find yourself in similar situations when you're sewing. I almost forgot. I made one other black top. So I'll insert videos and photos of it here, but in the laundry. I'm not a huge fan of this. Couple of things I'm going to say about this. One, it's a one-way stretch knit fabric. Here's what I did not consider in my making plans. I cut the circles because I was going to do the fluted, if you remember from the plans video, like a nice fluted sleeve detail. Well, there felt like there was a nap on the fabric, which just means like it has a texture to it. Like it wasn't smooth. I don't know how to describe it. It wasn't smooth. So when I went to actually go and put the like tiered sleeve thing on it, it was catching on itself and it just didn't, it wasn't billowy. It wasn't nice. So I had to like leave that idea. So then I thought, well, I already have these like circular pieces cut out. What if I just take them and I put them along the neckline, right? It'll give some interest to the top and it'll be nice for like Zoom calls. So I went ahead and did some practices with how to finish the ends because I didn't want to add bias binding. I thought I can use my serger and just like do the little narrow hem detail on it. And then it started stretching. I was testing this out on a straight strip of the fabric. That was my mistake. So when I did that, I just like pulled it and it did the little lettuce leaf edge. And I thought, well, that could be like a style feature, a design feature. So I left it, but I didn't recognize it's one-way stretch. I cut a circle, so it only stretched on like two halves of it, and the other halves that were not stretchy did not do the lettuce leaf detail. And I didn't figure that out until after. So it looks wonky. I think I would have appreciated more if the ruffles like fell in a V and kind of cascaded this way instead of being at my neckline. I don't know. I might leave it that way. At the end of the year when I do my like refashions and redos and things like that, it might end up there. Who knows? But for right now, I'm enjoying it for Zoom calls. It's very hard to layer with like a blazer or anything because I carried the ruffles along the back. So maybe a simple fix would just be to remove the back part of the ruffle so that I could layer it and just have it like roughly here. I don't know. I don't love it, but it's made and I've worn it on Zoom calls. So there's that. That is the black and white collection. I'm thrilled that we got to sew some things up. It was a challenging month of January, getting back to work and trying to sew in between being sick and things like that. So it was nice. It's nice to just like see everything done, and I'm really thrilled with a lot of the pieces that I made, and it's always nice to add quality pieces to your wardrobe. If you are on your sewing journey, I hope that you have enjoyed joining me in sharing in the things that I'm planning to make and what I've actually sewn up. It's been a really nice self-care sort of practice for me, and I'm hoping that that continues throughout the rest of the year. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I hope that you are subscribed or consider subscribing to join the family here so we can grow this community. Let me know in the comments down below, what was your favorite make? And are you sad that some of the other pieces from the plans video did not get made up? I'm sad too, but don't worry, they're cut up. I know what they were meant to be. So at any point, if I have extra time during any of the subsequent months, if I can finish them, I definitely will, and I'll share those with you when I get to them. The kids are up. I think we might have finished this just in the nick of time. I was gonna record one more video, but I think time's up today, Mama. Bye.